Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 56 based on novel. So let's start. Guest official Lorha, please be ready. The old spirit of the weapon smiled slightly, and then he disappeared into thin air. At the same time, the massive information about inheritance and resources in this chaotic space disappeared, leaving only a hazy light enveloping himself, transmitting the massive information about the first calamity of the Eight Tribulations life form. A large amount of information continued to pour into Luo Feng's memory. Even with Luo Feng's soul strength, it took him a long time to remember it completely. Although Luo Feng had read a lot of introductions to inheritance before and gained some knowledge, he was still shocked when he actually received the inheritance. It was the first time he realized how powerful a true strong person could be. I have faced the origin of life and felt that it was the embodiment of the concept of life. It was supremely powerful. But when I watched the first calamity of the inheritance of the Eight Tribulations life form, I could feel from a limited glimpse that this creator is much more powerful than the complete origin of life. This being, seemingly randomly using the information of the branches of the origin of life, created some secret techniques from low to high and combined these secret techniques to eventually form the first catastrophe. This secret creation gave him a sense of transforming decay into magic, a shock that surpassed the shock that Luo Feng felt from the great Tao of the origin of life. No wonder the behemoths that have grown to their peak are only in the first-class country Qinmu country, and they dare not provoke the two ancient countries at all. The more Luo Feng understood, the more he felt how vast the world was. Luo Feng had just finished accepting the inheritance and was still in shock when he was moved out of the inheritance hall and appeared at the entrance of the hall. Brother Luo He. Chu Yuho saw Luo Feng. Luo Feng didn't think any more and said immediately, "Brother Chu Yu, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. It's not even dark yet, it's still early." Chu Yuho said, "By the way, as a guest official, your cave attendants and so on have all been arranged by our imperial lineage. Your disciples and servants have already gone to the cave." Oh? Luo Feng was surprised. He had just passed the application when entering the city, and now all the followers in the cave have been arranged. The efficiency is really high. "Come on, I'll take you there," Chu Yuho said enthusiastically. In the west city of Chu capital, Chu Yuho brought Luo Feng to an elegant cave. The surroundings are very quiet, and there are large caves covering a large area. Those who live here are either high-ranking members of the royal family. Either Luo Feng, or these Chaos Realm beings. "This is the cave," Chu Yuho said. Luo Feng has already obtained the guest order, and with the help of it he can naturally control this cave. From now on, this cave will forever belong to Brother Luo He. Chu Yuho said with a smile. Master. Morosa, who had sensed something in the cave, had arrived at the main entrance of the cave with Mo Yu Qingyang and 10 servants to greet them. Luo Feng and Chu Yuho entered together. This cave, as the residence of a guest from the Chaos Realm, has a range of over 100 million kilometers. The formation of the cave is so powerful that it can even borrow a bit of the power of the entire Chu capital, which is enough to ensure the safety of the cave. Such a large area is not considered big for the Chaos Realm. Even practicing secret techniques requires hiding in some space secret treasures. It is the case with Luo Feng, a divine body that is as high as heaven and earth, which cannot be displayed at will in the outside world. The formation of this cave can actually borrow a bit of Chudu's power. I can feel it. Even if I try my best, I'm afraid I can't shake it. Luo Feng, who controls this cave, can naturally feel the bit of power that has been mobilized. It's so powerful that it's enough to crush me. Chudu was refined by the ancestor of my ancient Yangfeng country after all, Chu Yuho said with a smile. By the way, Brother Chu Yu, there is something I need to trouble you with, Luo Feng said. Brother Luo He, why should we be polite to each other? Chu Yuho said with a smile. Now he only has such a guest official, who is the most important helper on his path of cultivation. Luo Feng said, I have a relative who is serving as a deputy general in the city guards of Injiu City in the Northern Eagle Chaos state of Yanfeng's hometown. Why are you waiting in that dangerous place on the border? Chu Yuho was surprised. So we need the help of Chu Yuho to bring him to Chudu. Luo Feng said. Chu Yuho thought for a moment and said, since they are your relatives and friends, Brother Luo He, don't send them out in public. Now, the other first-class marquises. I'm afraid they are keeping an eye on me, and it will be troublesome if they do something bad. Luo Feng nodded. I will send a team of personal guards, carrying my token, to the Northern Eagle Chaos State. Go and take the Deputy General away directly. As a first-class Marquis of the royal family, I have the right to recruit personal troops, and I still have the right to recruit a small Deputy General, said Marquis Chu Yu. Well, let Luo Sa go with us. Luo Feng said. Luo Feng was worried about accidents. If he, a guest official at the peak of the Chaos Realm, went there in person, some people would be suspicious, but sending a servant who was ostensibly the eternal true God would seem insignificant. You only need to tell Luosa the identity of your relatives and friends, so that it will not be leaked. Chu Yuho said. When we get to Injio City, have Luosa take my personal guards with the token and go get the Deputy General. Brother Chu Yu is really thoughtful. Luo Feng said. You don't know how fierce and brutal the competition within the royal family is. Chu Yuho shook his head. We, the first-class marquises, dare not kill each other. But the guest officials around us are in danger of life and death. Luo Feng clearly understood the path of cultivation in the Great Tao, and he wanted to fight for everything. Since he joined the game, Luo Feng has never been afraid. Although there are dangers in joining the game, there are also many benefits, such as the newly acquired 8 Tribulations life form. The inheritance of the first tribulation is enough to make oneself reborn. Morosa, Luo Feng immediately telepathically transmitted, you will lead a group of Chu Yuho's personal guards and quietly go to Injio City in the Northern Eagle Chaos State, to bring the original ancestor back.
Bring the original ancestor. Morosa knew the relationship between Luo Feng and the original ancestor. The human race went through reincarnation, and the only ones who came to the origin continent were Luo Feng and Yuanzu. The two Yuanzu were also Luo Feng's masters. Their relationship is even closer than that of Morosa. Besides me, you are the only one who knows the identity of the original ancestor. Luo Feng telepathically transmitted. This trip must be kept secret. Don't worry, Master. Morosa responded, if there are any accidents or dangers along the way. If it endangers the life of the original ancestor, you are allowed to show your Chaos Realm strength. Luo Feng responded. Make sure he's safe. Understood. I will put the original ancestor into the space treasure at that time. I will never reveal my strength unless it is absolutely necessary. Morosa was also very careful in the ancient country of Yangfeng. He was also waiting for his master to become stronger and the conditions to be more suitable. At that time, displaying the strength of the Chaos Realm would not be noticeable. On that day, Morosa led a personal guard of Chu Yuho and quietly left the capital of Chu in a small flying boat. This flying boat travels through the void at an extremely fast speed, but it still takes 5 days to reach the Beijio Chaos State. After Luo Feng informed Yuanzu of the news, he went into seclusion to practice that night. There is a star tower in the quiet room. In the inner space of the star tower, Luo Feng comprehended the newly acquired 8 Tribulations life form. The first tribulation in the past, I was ignorant. This inheritance truly shows the appearance of the caged world, and also reveals information outside the caged world. Luo Feng thought to himself that he was just like the human who looked up at the starry sky for the first time. When you look up at the starry sky, you will realize how vast it is. The vast area governed by the supreme rule, the origin continent, and the surrounding 3,000 original universes are all caged worlds. In the world I live in, everything is affected by the supreme rules. The birth of life, reincarnation, rebirth, small universe, life length, time flow, space stability, divine body level, everything is determined by the supreme rules. The divine body level of the true God envoy can even determine the rest of his life. When you become a true God, you have an infinite divine body. Then when you become the true God of the void, the true God of eternity, the realm of chaos, and the God King, you have always had an infinite divine body. The true God is a perfect divine body. Each subsequent stage is also a perfect divine body. The size of the divine body, the reserve of divine power, the infinite divine body can be sized by heart. Like my perfect divine body, it is larger than the infinite divine body, the divine power is more refined, and it has the ability of invisibility and formlessness. Luo Feng thought, are these abilities mastered by my own understanding of the essence? No, they are bestowed by the supreme rules. The supreme rule allows you to push your physical limits to the limit. The supreme rules grant you invisible and formless abilities. The supreme rules make the small universes of the practitioners on the origin continent all in the starry sky. Everything is a rule. Invisible and formless is not my own ability to comprehend the essence, but an ability bestowed by the supreme rules. Luo Feng thought, and according to the description in 8 Tribulations life form, a truly powerful practitioner first lives in a cage and absorbs the knowledge in the cage, and then needs to break through the cage. All great power belongs to oneself. Only those who break through the cage can be called all powers. It is not given by the supreme rules, but comes from the Tao that one has mastered. Luo Feng used to be proud of his perfect body, and his abilities of being invisible and formless. But now seeing this inheritance, in the eyes of the creator of this inheritance, the practitioners in the cage have not yet broken through the cage of the supreme rules. There are 2 types of cages. One is the world cage, in a direct sense, the cage membrane protects all living things. The other is the cage of the supreme rules. Only by breaking through all cages and embarking on the path of all great power, belongs to oneself, can one embark on the true path. Even the road has to be opened up by ourselves. The inheritance of 8 Tribulations life form is so amazing. The other inheritances are so expensive that they must be of such a high level. Luo Feng thought to himself, the rulers of Yu and Sha are both guests of the Yangfeng ancient country. They can definitely exchange for some powerful inheritances. Exchanging inheritance is one thing, but cultivating to what level is another. I was a little too arrogant before. It's not easy to avenge my master. The more he knew, the more humble he became. After seeing many inheritances, especially some terrifying methods of cultivating with the power of Hunyuan and Hunyuan materials, Luo Feng knew very well that even in terms of the ability to save his life, he was not as good as that 8 Tribulations life form, the first tribulation, and was probably not as good as some ancient god kings. My master, a hermit, was able to escape from the pursuit of the 3 kings of the food kingdom. Obviously, he has extraordinary means. After Luo Feng's knowledge increased greatly, he also had a more accurate assessment of his master's true strength. In the northern part of Yangfeng ancient country, Beizhou Chaos State, Inzhou City. Inzhou City is a third-class large city in Yangfeng ancient country, and its scale is comparable to Huyang City. The garrison here is far more powerful than those cities in marginal countries. The military strength of one city is enough to sweep Zhejiang Chaos State and Luoyang Chaos State. According to Luo Feng, his servant Luo Sa will be able to arrive in Inzhou City today. An ordinary restaurant in the city, Yuanzu was drinking alone on the top floor of this restaurant, watching the outside world. As the deputy general of the city guard, Yuanzu specially asked for leave. The city guard also has 2 sets of people who can rotate with each other. After all, sometimes it takes a long time to practice in seclusion. Yuanzu is on vacation and another deputy general is responsible for the responsibility. God. The waiter of the restaurant respectfully brought some food up, with a very humble attitude. An eternal true God, and a deputy general of the city guard, is an existence that these ordinary restaurants cannot afford to offend. Yuan Zhu drank wine, ate delicious food, and waited patiently. Boom boom. Suddenly, a terrifying aura spread from a distance. Yuan Zhu looked up and saw a young man riding a snake-like beast flying in Inzhou City, and some guards followed him in a flying boat. It's the second son of the garrison, General Yu. Yuan Zhu recognized the young man at a glance. He was the most rampant existence in the entire Inzhou City. The garrison of Inzhou City was a guest official of the Chaos Realm, responsible for guarding the border city. He has 2 children. The eldest son worships a god king, and the second son is brought by his side. This is a Chaos Realm beast, controlled by secret methods. I heard that it was a garrison, and it was paid a lot of money to be obtained from a god king. It is specially used as a mount for his son, and it is also a guard to protect his son. Yuan Zhu secretly sighed. A Chaos Realm beast is used as a mount. Who among the eternal true gods in the city would not envy it? Who dares to provoke this young General Yu? After all, he has many protective treasures, and his mount is even more terrifying. Uncle Han, I heard that my father has come out of retreat. The young General Yu. Riding the mount, he was extremely excited. He rushed back from outside the city. Master, he just came out of retreat. There is no need for the young master to rush over so quickly. The winding snake responded with a voice transmission. It was completely enslaved, and its original brutality had long disappeared. The guard was relieved to let him protect his second son. I'll let my father see my prey, Uncle Han, hurry up. The young General Yu urged. The winding snake accelerated slightly and flew twice, so that the guards behind could see it clearly. It arrived at the Guardian Mansion. We can't even ask for a legacy. This General Yu can use a Chaos Realm beast as a mount. Slowly accumulate merits. If you have enough merits, you can still exchange for inheritance. Many eternal true gods in the city noticed this scene, and could only envy and envy. This is just the son of a guest official in the Chaos Realm, the core descendant of the royal family of the legendary Yangfeng ancient country, and his resources are beyond countless times. Luo Feng said that he was now also a guest official of the ancient country of Yangfeng. Yuan Zhu watched General Yu riding his mount and disappearing from his sight. The resources he could obtain must be no less than the garrison of Inzhou City. At this moment, the honest-looking Morosa brought some personal guards to the downstairs of this restaurant. This restaurant was the place Yuan Zhu and Luo Feng had agreed on. Yuan Zhu. Morosa was a Chaos Realm being after all, and he immediately identified the Yuan Zhu in this restaurant. You wait here, Morosa ordered, and then quietly entered the restaurant. The personal guards sent by Chu Yuho could only wait here. They still didn't know what the purpose of this trip was. They only knew that they were servants who obeyed the orders of this guest official of Luohe. Inside the restaurant, Yuan Zhu suddenly turned his head, and a simple figure had already pushed the door in. Luo Sa. Yuan Zhu looked at the other party. Luo Feng had already given Morosa a detailed appearance, so Yuan Zhu naturally recognized him at a glance. Yuan Deputy General. Morosa smiled slightly. I am here on the orders of my master Luo He. Yuan Zhu smiled and nodded. We will leave Inzhou City now. Morosa said. Not handing over to the city guards. Yuan Zhu asked. The less noise the better. As for the handover, everything will be arranged properly. Morosa said. Morosa thought he was very careful this time. The guards he led did not know the final destination on the way. But the 7 first-class marquises of the D Chu lineage fought fiercely. So no matter how careful you are, it is not too much. As long as you can return to Luo Feng's cave safely, everything will be fine. Morosa said, "You need the Deputy General to stay temporarily in the space secret security." "Ha ha, Luo, he said it a long time ago." Yuanzhu stood up. Morosa nodded, then waved his hand to put Yuanzhu into the space secret treasure he carried with him, and immediately left the restaurant quietly and met with the guards. "Let's go." Although the guards were confused, they still tried their best to leave quietly. If they encounter obstructions, the guards will take out the first-class Marquis order to deal with it. If there are no obstructions, they will just quietly leave. Without anyone noticing, Yuanzhu quietly left Injo City. How did the identity token of Yuan's Deputy General disappear? The city guards can determine the location of all members at any time. But now the location of Yuanzhu's identity token cannot be tracked. Because he is just a deputy general, the city guards only report the news immediately, and the news will not be transmitted to the garrison for a short time. The garrison of Injo City is accompanying his second son.
The garrison suddenly received a message. The first-class Marquis of the royal family, Chu Yuho, applied for a transfer order to transfer the Deputy General of the City Guard, Yuan, away. The garrison frowned slightly. The first-class Marquis applied for a transfer order, just to dispatch a small Deputy General? This kind of transfer order has been confirmed after the royal family has passed it, and he, the garrison, has no right to refute it. In the ancient country of Yangfeng, the royal family manages all aspects of the country. Even the assignment of some tasks is assigned by the core layer of the royal family. No matter how noble the guest officials are, they only have the right to choose and refuse tasks. They have no right to interfere in the management of the ancient country of Yangfeng. Yuan was transferred away. The garrison had no right to refute, only the right to know. Check where the Deputy General of the City Guard, Yuan, is. The garrison began to give orders. His identity token cannot be locked. It is estimated that he has left Injo City. The garrison frowned slightly. This person's identity is probably not ordinary. Chu Yuho should be worried that I will interfere in bad things. Although the official power of the town guards was not in a position to stop it. As a powerful guest official in the Chaos Realm, he naturally had the power to obstruct it without anyone noticing. When the Emperor Chu lineage and other first-class marquises noticed this transfer order, they had already left Injo City. 5 days later. In Chudu, Morosa has quietly returned to Luo Feng's cave. Master, Morosa brought the original ancestor to report the mission. Luo Feng naturally came out to greet them long ago, and saw the grey-robed man walking with Morosa at a glance. Yuan. Luo Feng smiled. The two of them had already discussed how to address each other in the origin continent. Yuanzhu. This title would immediately let the outside world know that Yuanzhu meant a lot to Luo Feng. Luo He. The original ancestor also looked at Luo Feng with a smile and called him by this name. Master, everything goes well, said Morosa. Luo Feng nodded, very good, you have worked hard, go and rest first. Morosa understood that the master and the ancestor had something to discuss, and he felt that the ancestor was obviously closer to the master, so he could only leave obediently. Yuan, follow me. Luo Feng immediately took Yuanzhu to the quiet room and entered the Star Tower. One of the floors in the Star Tower. Look. Luo Feng pointed to the front, where a large number of items were stored, including some inherited books, various precious medicines made from rare treasures of heaven and earth, weapons, secret treasures, etc. These are what I confiscated after defeating the Heart Shadow sect. They are of limited help to the Chaos Realm, but there are still many treasures to assist the eternal true God in his cultivation. The Xinjiang sect is used to cultivate elite disciples, so it is naturally systematic and has a large number of various rare treasures. So many? The original ancestor also saw the classics leading to the Chaos Realm. The God King's classics were rare, but there were too many classics in the Chaos Realm. I used to work hard in Indonesia City, trying to accumulate merit so as to exchange for a good inheritance. Yuanzu, I feel sad that now there are so many of them in front of me. Luo Feng smiled. Before, if he wanted to help the original ancestor, he had to practice first, learn a heritage, and then pass it on to the original ancestor through the memory stone in his hometown of the original universe. Now that the two of them have met in the continent of origin, the original ancestor can learn on his own. These resources, original ancestors, you can choose any of them. Luo Feng said. Resources still need to be planned well. In the future, many younger generations of my human race will come here. The original ancestor looked at the massive resources. He was just an ordinary eternal true god before, a small deputy general of the city guard. All his treasures added up were less than 100,000 cosmic sands. The treasures in front of him were worth tens of billions of cosmic sands. Luo Feng smiled. Once other human cultivators come, this little treasure will really be insignificant. Apart from anything else, if I can digest the first calamity of the 8 tribulations life form and perfect my transformation method, I will be able to make further progress. Ancestor, you can practice slowly here. If you want to go out, just tell me. Luo Feng said. Go and get busy. The original ancestor is now full of fighting spirit. After all, the inheritance and resources in front of him can be studied and utilized to his heart's content. Luo Feng nodded and disappeared immediately, going to his own level of the Star Tower. Luo Feng, he came out to see the ancestor specifically during his practice. At this moment, he continued to study the 8 tribulations life form and the life spirituality chapter. Luo Feng had previously studied the chaos layer creatures and learned the simple application of life spirituality, but this life spirituality chapter recorded all the mysteries of the life spirituality lineage and even had a variety of applications. Secret methods. Luo Feng was not in a hurry to perfect the transformation method, but first slowly learn it and accumulate it. This video will end here.